Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Coach Tiffany Parra, editor-in-chief of Fitness Fanatics Magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. Happy October, y'all. We made it to another magnificent month, and this is a very special month, and I have an extremely very special guest with me today to chat a little bit about domestic violence and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on in. Hey,
Hello.
what's going on, Lavon? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. So please just take a moment to share with the audience just who you are, where you're from, and just a little bit about what you do, because you do a lot of magnificentness out there in the world.
Okay, Tiffany, now you're going to make me live up to it, right? Uh, Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Tiffany, once again for having me on your fabulous show. I am Lavon Morris-Grant, and I hail from New York and New Jersey, New Jersey being my birthplace. And I live now in Atlanta, Georgia, where I've been for the last 20 years, raising my children who are raised. Thank you. They are all grown, three grandkids and three bonus grandchildren. So I am a international speaker, a life coach, and author of a new book that just came out, just was published last week. So I'm excited about that. And I am a consultant, and as Tiffany said, entrepreneur. And most importantly, for today's episode, I am a domestic violence expert and an influencer in my industry. And I've been in that industry for 3 decades. Uh, wow. And it is my passion, it is my life purpose, it is my calling, and it is what I do to help women and families and communities, move forward towards healing.
Awesome. So, Lavon, this month is very special. For you, and for a lot of us out there that have gone through some things when it comes to domestic violence, regardless of how it looks, whether it be verbal, whether it be emotional, whether it be physical. Would you mind sharing a little bit of your story with our audience today?
Oh, sure. Wow. Yes. So we're gonna go right there, guys. We're right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
We don't play.
I'm
So
diving in. I don't play. No.
and so before I jump all the way in, I just want you all to remember as you hear me speak, when you think of domestic violence and other survivors, right? Um, and when you look at me, every survivor or most of us as survivors, we don't always look like what we've been through, or we don't
Mm,
always look like what we are going through in the moment. So that phrase, well, you don't look like a victim. Well, I don't know what a victim looks like, because when 1 in 5 women are being, or 1 in 4 women are being abused, like who can you say is or is not a victim, and what is that supposed to look like? So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there for people to open their minds and their eyes and their ears to listen, and not look at the titles of people, and not look at the physicality of a person, right? Of
right.
who is deemed a victim. Okay. So with that, and for sake of time, I have to just give it to you all, because you have to buy the book
That's
to
what I
get
was going to say.
the detail, right? Or ask some questions that we could get back to you in some time. And so I was a young mom, young wife, 34, I believe, at that time. My husband was 35. Our children were 14, 7, and 4. We were living the American dream, so to speak. We both were educated, meaning we had our college degrees. Um, a two-household family, making close to $100,000 at that time. And unfortunately, there was a lot of verbal abuse. And at that time, the work I do today, we weren't even talking about verbal abuse. The only abuse that was talked about under domestic violence umbrella was physical.
Right.
So the verbal abuse was no big deal to me. Um, but now we stress it. And what happened, I left my husband uh, for 10 months. I left him 10 months into the 10-year marriage, and believing we were going to get a divorce. right? That was the plan in my head. And I left him, and the children were with him. And for many, many reasons, the children were with him. And I came down to visit, meaning came down from New York to New Jersey to visit at the home we have purchased some years ago. And the next day, unbeknownst to me, my husband wanted to have this family meeting, and I refused. And next thing I know, he's asking me again for a meeting, and I say no. And I turn to look at him, and there's a gun pointed
Mm.
at my left temple.
Wow.
And he pulled the trigger. He just pulled the trigger. There was no back and forth. He pulled
Mm.
the trigger, and that bullet, because I slightly turned my head, thank goodness, because that bullet caught me behind my left ear. And that bullet moved from one side of my head to the other side where I physically felt myself dying. I,
Mm.
I was literally dying, and I just was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm only 34 years old. I have not done anything yet. I'm dying. And then whatever spiritual realm I was projected to, what that's what I call it. I
Yes.
heard my spirit and God talking behind my head. It was amazing, but scary at the same time. My spirit asking God, please don't take us yet. We have too much to do. And I had no idea what that meant, but I heard it. And next thing I know, a bolt of lightning, what I call, struck the top of my head and jolted me over, and life was fully back in my body. But the
Wow.
bullet is still, to this day, the bullet is still lodged on the other side of my head, my neck. And unbeknownst, my husband, now these next bullets, I don't know about, guys. I just know it because it happened.
Right.
My husband shot me again. He shot me in my thigh. And I got out the bedroom because I don't lose consciousness. Now, my children, who I told you were 14, 7, and 4, they are downstairs looking up at their dad shooting me. My children, I get out to the hallway of the bedroom. My husband shoots me again. That bullet, he shot me in my butt. At that point, something told me I just literally dove head first down the stairs. Didn't break a rib. The doctors don't understand how that did not happen. I'm swimming down the stairs, and I'm yelling as I'm holding the side of my head, yelling, Marquise, Corey, Sharia, wait for me. Mommy's coming. Mommy's coming. I get down the stairs. Before I get down, he shoots me again. He shoots me in my foot, in my left foot, and it breaks this toe.
Mm.
I do a duck and roll when I get down to the bottom of the stairs, and I grab my children, and we run to the back of the house, not the front door, because he's shooting still at the front door. We
Mm-hmm.
run to the back of the house to get out the back door to run back to the front to a neighbor's house. I grab my children, and we run into the neighbor's house. Now, while I'm there, I'm believing I'm going to die any minute because a bullet in your head tells you should be dead. So I
Right.
lay on my neighbor's floor to die. Like I'm ready to die. My children are safe. I tell the neighbor to put them in her basement.
Mm-hmm.
The neighbor is my friend, by the way, so I didn't just bust somebody's house. And
Right.
but I would have.
Yeah.
And I'm believing, my children are in the basement, they safe, and I lay on the floor to die. And spirit is like, we're not dying. And now I have this running argument with spirit, like, yeah, I'm tired, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, yes, I'm dying. And that was September 8th. And I did not die. And when the paramedics got there, I discovered the other 3 bullets. And in the midst of that, laying on the floor to die, I also discovered that my husband shot himself once in the right temple. And they rushed us both to the hospital in Newark, New Jersey, and where my husband expired 2 days later. He died 2 days later. I planned the funeral. And the biggest thing, I know that you were all saying the biggest thing on the bullets. Yeah, the bullets were a big thing. The bullets are the drama, right? But the biggest thing and the hurtful thing was the community in the church blamed me for all that happened. And
Wow.
that was all people could see was to blame. They couldn't see a family in distress, that these children could have lost both their parents. But no, it was all about the blame. And that blame was on me. And we could talk more about that, Tiffany. But the long and short of it, that's what happened to me. Um, and I survived, and I'm thriving. But it took a lot,
Mm-hmm.
because what we did not get into, and I'm sure Tiffany will, is all the emotion of the depressions, the heartache, the grief, the pain, the me wanting to commit suicide, all of those pieces, people don't get to see that, Tiffany. They don't see the back end. They see me today and think, oh, she's an international speaker. Oh, she's an author. Oh, she this, she that. And yeah, I am all that. But to get to all of that, it took a lot. It took every bit of, not even me, but every bit of who God was. Because me, I was trying to commit suicide every day.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
yeah.
Just such a powerful story. I mean, I'm over here. I'm almost in tears, and I know we've got some viewers right now as well. Let me go to the comments. We've got Nara. Hi. She says hi. Welcome. We've got a is it Sumaya Coleman? She says
Samaya.
congratulations. Samaya. Okay. Samaya says congratulations to you for your tenacity and perseverance to fight for your life and your children. Stay strong and keep going. Your voice matters to all survivors. Thank you. Thank you, Samaya. We got Sharita Lewis. Hello from Bowie, Maryland. This is Sharita Lewis. Thank you so much, Sharita, for joining us. Whew, sis. That's nothing but God. And just wow. Just wow. So tell me, just let's dig into it. There's so many people out there going through domestic violence and you don't even know it because like you said, it's people are just they're showing up
Mhm.
the way that they feel they need to show up and they're hurting inside. So what are some signs of domestic violence? I mean, you got the obvious, right? The bruises and things like that, but what are some other signs that we can look for to be able to help somebody that might be going through something?
Wow. So great question, Tiffany. First and foremost, when people are showing up who are being abused, particularly women, because 85% of women are the main ones who are being abused by men. And what we call that is intimate partner violence, right? And so they're showing up because of the stigma attached to domestic violence. As I said to you, Tiffany, about me being blamed, well, we blame the victim,
Right.
and particularly if she's a woman, and even more so if she's Black, right? We must have done something. She probably talked too much. She probably didn't shut up. All kinds of craziness of people's opinions, but your opinions don't match up with facts, right? And
Right.
so that's why when they're showing up trying to get through their day, the shame, oh my God, the shame that is attached to being an abused woman or being a woman who, is being abused by her partner, especially when you're out in the limelight and people think you got it all together, but behind
Right.
closed doors, the B words, the F words, the C words, and that verbal does
Yes.
a number. And so when you ask Tiffany about signs, I'm gonna give us some signs, and I could give you signs all day long. But until we as a society come together collectively, right, to not just recognize the signs, but acknowledge the signs and really put some emphasis on that. So one of the first things is the control. Control is easy to recognize in the sense of he controls who you talk to, he controls who calls you, he controls the money, right? He controls where you go, where you don't go. He controls how long you have to be somewhere. He controls what you wear. And it could be really subtle by, babe, I really like you in that orange wig. You should wear the orange wig. And when you hear that, it sounds like love, right? It sounds like, but what happens if you don't change the wig?
Mm, right.
What happens when you
Right.
don't change the jewelry or you don't change the shirt or you don't change the way you scramble those eggs? Right? Right? Something to that mundane. What happens afterwards? What is the communication when you say, no, babe, in the nice, loving way that he gave it to you? No, babe, I like the purple wig for the day. Right?
Hmm.
By the way, guys, I got my purple wig for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, representing my colors. So anyway, so you see how big control can turn out. It's nothing wrong with control per se
Hmm.
until it's an adverse reaction to the control, right? So
Right.
that's one sign. The other sign is jealousy.
Mhm.
Jealousy is huge. Oh my God, jealousy is huge. And I know a lot of us as women, once again, we take that as, oh, look how much he just loves me. Look, he just want to protect me from all these people. Yeah, but what if you ask him, why is he talking to all those women? What is the feedback
Mhm.
of how he relates to you coming at him with your jealousy, right? I guess jealousy is a human reaction. Right? I'm not saying we're
Absolutely.
not jealous, but it's how is that jealousy controlled? How is it maintained? And who is
Mhm.
the maintaining of the jealousy, right?
Right. Right.
That if I'm just flirting, okay, babe, I won't do that again. But then if you punch me in my face because
Right. Yeah. That's
or,
that's a little
or
excessive.
right, or I become the stupid B,
Right.
or you use it against me like I'm not going to do XYZ that I told you. See what I'm saying? You see how
Mhm.
those signs become signs, but we don't always, recognize that. Another sign is, so we got the control, we got the jealousy, and then you got the finances, and then you have the spiritual, and you
Yeah.
have the mental. So the gaslighting is one of the craziest of them all.
Yes.
Back in the day, we called it the psychological abuse, but they changed the language to
Right.
gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
And
Mhm.
just the example of gaslighting. So, you come home, you put your keys down, and you go get the keys, and you can't find them. And you're like, hey, babe, you see where I put my keys? And he's like, no, you put them on the counter. Like, he with you. You put them on the counter. And you look and look, and you can't find those keys. So you go get your spare key, right? Fine, you do what you do. Some hours later, you open the freezer, and there your keys are in the freezer. And you're like, "Why you put these keys in the freezer?" It's like, hey, babe, what? And he's like, yeah, and he gaslights you into believing, yeah, you must have put the keys in
Did
the
it.
freezer.
Mhm.
Or he has weapons in the home, and and he's sitting there cleaning the weapon in front of you,
Right.
letting you know psychologically, I know how to use this. I know
Mhm.
how to use it well. And so he's not saying anything. He's just cleaning it and
Right.
things. So it's just, so gaslighting is all kinds of things. I was going to say something about administration, but I won't. But
That's a whole nother show.
gaslighting with that. But I'm just saying, so these are just some of the signs, Tiffany, and it goes on. We usually give about 10, 10 signs, and people can just get ahead and Google. But for me, those five: the gaslighting, the control, the jealousy, the financials, and the spiritual. I
Yeah.
could do a whole book on the spiritual. Oh, Jesus, I could do a whole book on the spiritual gaslighting, the spiritual abuse from the
Yeah.
church, the parishioners, the pastor, uh, just the whole gamut around spiritual abuse. But just to give some for time, those are some of the tops that people can look at and maybe see in their own lives.
Thank you so much for that. And man, have conversations, y'all, because I think today people aren't it, I really feel like it happened during COVID. People aren't communicating anymore. And we really need to be communicating and talking about what's going on, right? Because there are so many people out there that are suffering, and just having a conversation to even understand what someone is going through, because sometimes they're in a situation and they're getting light up and everything else is going on, and they don't even see it as anything wrong because it just seems normal, because that's their normal, right? So but being able to have a conversation with someone to let someone know that, hey, this ain't right,
Right.
is essential. It's really essential.
Right. And to that point, Tiffany, even the conversation, I would say we have to go greater beyond the conversation, because you telling me, Tiffany, is not right doesn't mean I'm going to hear you.
Right.
Right. Because we know in my work, we know it takes on average 7 times where a woman will go back and leave and go back and leave and go back before she may fully leave. And she
Yeah.
may or she may not. But
Right.
I'm just saying, we know it takes, it's just like the commercial, right? When they're trying to get us to eat something or buy something, we
Yep.
keep seeing the commercial. It takes about at least 7 times for somebody to make a decision. Oh, I want that hamburger from that
Right.
particular establishment, right? But beyond the conversation, you, my friend, you, my girl, you, my bestie, and you telling me, Lavon, he doing that, you got to get out. You may not be the one to help me, Tiffany, and you have to be okay with that. It may
Hmm.
take it may take this podcast that will help
Right.
that girlfriend, right? When they hear
Hmm.
it from someone else. So I just want us all to be patient. I just want us
Yes.
to be patient because the the mental part of me understanding it's wrong is different from the emotional part. Because
Hmm.
what makes domestic violence so deadly and so serious and so hideous and difficult for the person that's it's being done to, emotions are attached to that person. And I think
Yeah.
that's the part we forget, right? It's a heart thing. And what she really, really wants, I promise you, she just wants the abuse to stop.
Right.
And she has been conditioned to believe, or just believing, she can help him stop if she just does this to a point where nothing matters, because at the end of the day, what that person wants is power and control. And until
Right.
she understand that, right, it's just going to be what it's going to be, and we just have to be patient and not give up on her, because that
Yeah.
emotion, we know when we just break up from a normal relationship, right, even if he's
Right.
the worst thing moving, the emotion is still attached to the worst thing moving. And it takes a minute, right, to get your heart back, to get yourself back to. So can imagine, we are asking women to leave with
Hmm.
no safety net, none. But we never ask the abuser to leave. We never ask anything of the abuser. We put no
Hmm.
responsibility on his behavior, none.
Yeah. And that's a problem. So
That's
that's
the
an
problem.
absolute problem. Yeah. Absolutely. Let me go back to the comments here. We got Yvonne here. She said, "Thank you for sharing your story and shedding light on the non-physical signs to abuse." Thank you, Yvonne, for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, what group do you feel is mostly impacted by domestic violence? I mean, I know it
Ooh,
hits a lot of homes, but what's that group? Because I know there's a
that
specific group that really you hear more of it coming from that group. So,
yeah,
what is that in your opinion?
that is a great question. And my friends and I, we talk about it often, particularly inside of the domestic violence, excuse me, domestic violence field, right? Of how do we get these messages out of the urgency, and how do we reframe the narrative within
Yeah.
our field? And because Black women, let me stop. White women are the largest group of women who are killed, no, excuse me, who are battered. And then, all the other
Mm.
groups who are abused, right? They are abused.
Mhm.
But Black women, of all the groups, are the largest, are 3 times more likely to be killed by their
Wow.
intimate partner. Black women, 3 times to be killed.
Mm.
We are not the highest to be abused, but we are the highest to be killed. And when I get to that statistic, that fact, amongst when I'm the speaker, now, women, Black women particularly get mad, or even Black men, because the next question is, if Black women are the largest group of women, the highest group of women being killed by their intimate partners, who's killing them?
Right.
Black
Right.
men. And so
Mm.
now I get the pushback. Now I get the anger. Now I'm putting down Black men. Why I'm not taking up from a Black man? They got all this, they got this. And that is not what I'm saying. I'm giving you the
Right.
fact. But what
Right.
the fact is saying, or what I'm trying to get to, is to say, hey, Black men, one, stop killing us. And two, can you all as Black men come together and work out some solutions on why you feel the need to kill us? What is going on for you?
Right.
Because men listen to men, right? I could say this all day,
Mhm.
Tiffany, right? But at the end of the
All
day,
day.
I'm real clear. I may be an expert, but it don't mean you hear me, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what I'm asking is for Instead of the pushback is for you all to come to the table and let's have some collaboration around some solutions, because we have to do different and better in our communities. And we
Yeah.
have to uplift Black women. And where's our protections? You can't keep saying I'm your queen, or Black women are the queens, or that Black women, are the bond to the community if you are killing us, right? We have to come together and figure out what is happening, that this phenomenon is happening in our communities, right? And happening
Yeah.
to Black women. And so that's what the question is about, Tiffany. It's not about to give the statistic to make Black men look bad or to make Black households look bad. It is about, hey, I want to change this. I was almost killed. I don't want to die.
Right. Right.
No, and I'm sure the Black women who have died, they did not, and not at the hands of
Mhm.
someone who was supposed to love me.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Whew. We got to do better, everybody. We got to do better. Oh, go back to the comments here. Carol Grum. This message is terribly important to get out there, and you are doing a great job sharing this. Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Oh, this is just a powerful conversation. And, y'all, this is just the first of a few conversations that Lavon and I are going to be having this month. So get ready for some great information and just a candid conversation about something that is really needed to be addressed. So how are, because I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but how is like the domestic, like the violence and the mental health connected?
Ooh,
Because there is a huge connection there. So let's get into that a little bit on how that connects.
yeah. Um, so I gave a little smidget of
Yeah.
the depression that I was
Right.
in. And if I had a different word, Tiffany, it was I would give it to you, because it was beyond depression of where I
Hmm.
found myself. And to find yourself there year, not just day after day, I mean year
Hmm.
after year after year. I was depressed for years after what my husband
Wow.
did, even though I was showing up. Like, I wrote a book.
Yes.
I wrote a whole book in my depression. And but my mental health was shot. It was shot, and there was no one to really talk to
Hmm.
about it, because when we talk about the stigmatization of domestic violence and the shame, it's two
Right.
times higher when you dealing with mental health issues, and it's not even being necessarily diagnosed with the illness. And I probably did have
Hmm.
it. I think me and my children, I think we were diagnosed with PTSD.
Yeah.
Just telling the doctor, but that mental health. So those of us who have found ourselves in abusive people,
Hmm.
uh, see, there's a difference when you say with people opposed to the relationship, right?
Right.
So that that correlates directly to how I show up mentally or how I don't, right? And I don't think
Hmm.
people connect those dots, that my mental health, if I am not able to take care of my children, and if I'm not able to, feed my children, if I'm not able to take care of me, to get out of bed, right? A lot of suicidal ideation happens. And I know for
Hmm.
me, when I say to you all, I sat there and thought of all kind of ways how to kill myself every day.
Wow.
In the midst of talking to you, Tiffany, I'm in my head like, I wish she shut up so I could get back to figuring out how I could kill myself, because I'm
Mm.
not good as a mom for these kids. I don't know how to get us through this. I'm not the best person to get us through this. I'm in the way. These bones will never live again. These are the conversations I'm having with myself at
Right.
that time. And then some women turn to drinking, right?
Yeah.
Some
Substance
women turn
abuse.
to abusing pills, right?
Hmm.
Um, some women turn to cutting. So all kinds of issues show up. They can't go to work anymore, right?
Hmm.
So when we look at our mental health, if you just make the correlation from domestic violence to mental health, the suicide, and some women do commit suicide. Like
Yeah.
some do go through and do commit suicide, and now the grief starts all over, especially for the children. And so
Right.
you got all these pieces coming at her when she's being abused, right? That she has to still try to maintain all these pieces. And then let's say she doesn't do a good job, but she's still with the abuser.
Right.
And then he comes home and now he's on her and he's beating her because his behavior on her, she can't maintain what he's done to her. So now she gets
Right.
beat again because so the cycle, that's why we call it the
Vicious
cycle.
cycle.
It's just
Yeah.
a vicious cycle, but yet and still to this day, it just behooves me and it still hurts my heart that we as a society are still looking to blame her and
Right.
not put the resources that are necessary to help her. But so then the other last thing on the mental health issue, Tiffany, I mean it's all
Yeah.
mental health, is
Yeah.
that if I'm a bad mother or I'm found to be unfit, right, the state gonna come in and take my children and give them to
Mm-hmm.
you. But look, Tiffany, when they give my children to you, they're gonna give you all the resources to help take care of my children. They're
Right.
gonna give you a monthly stipend. They're gonna give you all the resources into all the places you could take my children for therapy. But if I go ask for that same help, Tiffany, as the biological parent, I don't get any of that. It, this
There's
is how
something wrong
crazy This is how
there.
crazy our system is.
Right.
And if you
Right.
ask any child who's an adult now, who would they have rather stayed with? They want to stay with their parent,
The parents. Right.
right? So help. So let's put the resources to help the parent
To keep the
become
kid, to help the kids, to help them
fit.
stay together.
Right, but no, Tiffany, we don't do that because even though the system didn't say verbally, you bad, it's your fault. That's what they're saying,
Right.
right? That's what they're
Right.
saying. And that's what we are saying and plays on our mental health when we ask that question, why don't she just leave and go where? Go where,
Right.
Tiffany? There's nowhere to go. And so when we look at today, 2025, it's even worse than what it was 30 years ago, right? Because people can't
Yeah.
even afford their rent, right?
Absolutely.
So
Right.
people grocery prices are astronomical. So where are people going? Where are people going? So it's just a vicious cycle from the mental standpoint of her just trying to function every day, dealing with all of what's coming at her, and especially
Mm-hmm.
if she is still with the abuser. And a lot of
Right.
times women stay with the abuser, not because they like it, it's because the financial aspect of it and the
Right.
children.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they have no choice, in the matter. Right.
Or the choices they have, Tiffany, or the options they
Or
have,
just
nothing is a
nothing.
good option,
Nothing.
right? Nothing,
Nothing. Right.
and we don't have a safety net out here once she leaves. So I left my husband, Tiffany. I left my husband for 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
People think I got shot first. No, Tiffany, I left for
At
10
first.
months and I came to help with the children to get ready for school that year. And look, Tiffany, I'm still end up shot 4 times, and my husband never hit me, right? That's the first time any physical had ever happened. And so the statistics or the behaviors don't match what we say, right? A
Right.
lot of women have left. A lot of women. The other sign I forgot to tell you all about is the stalking. The stalking starts.
Mm, yes.
And so though my husband didn't stalk me because I was in his space, he still tried to kill me. And that's not to say if he had seen me in the street, he wouldn't have done the same thing. He just had the opportunity now, right? Because I'm in the house with him. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that stalking is huge.
It
Um,
is. I've been
so
in
yeah,
this situation before as well, and it's scary,
yes,
because you don't know what's coming. And I think that also weighs on that mental health because now you're on eggshells all the time and you just don't, you get paranoid, and it really it could be a really bad situation. So no, I just yeah.
Yeah, and it has
So
been many
I
women.
question I have for you, Lavon, because you have gone through such a healing process to get on the other side of this. Can you share a couple of things with the audience that you did to be able to just go through this healing process? Because this is tough. And I know there's people out there that are looking for just, just some ways and some tips on how they can maybe just start their healing process. So
Yeah.
can you share some things with our audience?
Oh, sure, Tiffany. Your questions get better and better. I tell you, wow. Um, let me just say I'm still in the healing process, right? So, and it's been almost 30 years. I am still in the healing process, and maybe not all from the shooting, Tiffany, but just healing is a process in our lives,
Absolutely.
right? To continually to take internal inventory of what's happening for you around you, the different things that show up in your life. So let me just put that out there. That healing is a process every day, all day. For me, it is. And
Me too.
right. So don't, but for that, I can't say to the audience when I got to the healing process. All I can say, I share with you all, yes, I wanted to commit suicide every day for about 5 years. So maybe that's when some healing started showing up. But I was committed, Tiffany. I went to therapy every week. I was committed. I could not allow, that was one, I could not allow what our community, our historical, cultural norms were that we don't go to therapy, right? We go to Jesus,
Right.
and that is true.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Therapy
the
works.
but is not a but on Jesus, but the but is if I trust that God has created doctors to heal my broken bone, right?
Mhm.
And I'm
Mhm.
going to go to the doctor and trust that God is going to send me to the right doctor to fix whatever that broken bone is, right?
Yeah.
Great. I got that faith. I had to have enough faith beyond our cultural norms and my family norms of beliefs and unlearn that thinking that if God created that, I have to trust that God created a therapist with some skills that can help my.
Mhm.
It's the same. It's the same thing, but we don't
That's
see it
right.
like that. Like we take that to Jesus because to tell people what's going on in my mind, again, that stigma. You're not strong enough, girl. You're a black woman. You know you're supposed to be able to hold up the whole world and still breathe.
Right.
I know I'm making a lot
The
of that.
lies.
I'm just saying the things we hear that's ingrained in us from a cultural standpoint, right? And I told
Right.
my family when it was like, oh, you think you're white now? I'm like, no, no, this ain't got nothing to do with being white. This got to do with like nobody don't know how to help me. So therapy, I strongly to this day still believe in therapy. It was one of the greatest foundations that I gave to myself and my children. And I had to be strong enough to stand against my mom, God bless her soul, to say, no, mom, this is no mommy, right? This is what we are doing. This is what me and my children are doing. Because
Yeah.
for the first 34 years of my life, whatever I had didn't work. So we're gonna try this over here. And therapy
Yeah.
was the number one tool, and it helped me work through my depressions. It gave me tools to get out of bed. It helped me accept that I don't have to do everything the way our culture taught us. I don't have to do everything the way my mom taught me. I don't have to. I could say
Right.
no, Tiffany. I could say no and
Yeah.
unlearn some unhealthy behaviors. That's not a hit on my mom. That's not a hit
Right.
on black people. I love being a black girl, absolutely every day. I mean, I have to, right? I'm black. So therapy was one. The other thing was taking the tools that I learned from therapy and applying them, even when I didn't
Mm.
know. I'm gonna give y'all, for instance, September 8th was my day that I was shot, almost killed. The third year of September 8th was coming. And the week before, I would go into a whole blown, even deeper depression, right?
Mm.
Oh my God, the depression would start a week before because I knew September 8th was coming.
Right.
By the
Mhm.
time September 8th got here, I was no good to nobody. Oh my God, no good. I had this term my mom used to say, I looked like who done it and ran. I'll tell you about that later, but that was, you can imagine. Who
Yeah.
done it again? That's what I looked like by the time September 8th got here. And Tiffany, the third year comes, and I'm saying to God, because I was always in communication with God now, and my spirituality was the other big thing. I was always in communication with God. And I said, God, September 8th going to keep coming as long as I keep living. And
Right.
I can't keep finding myself here. Because Tiffany, when I would go, it took more work to get out of it. And
Right.
then just to get back to the depression where I was. And then to get, so I said, God, I can't. That third year, Tiffany, I was just like, God, I can't. I can't keep finding myself here.
Yeah.
And this is what God gave me. September 8th, guys, is my second birthday. I have two birthdays. September 8th is the second. So I had promised God. So by the third, September 8th, I was 3 years old. I said, God, from this day forward until I turn 18 on September 8th, I will keep celebrating September 8th. I made September 8th a celebration instead of my death date. And
Mm.
and I looked at it as a 3-year-old little girl who went into the candy store, and I had my pick of anything I wanted from the candy store. And that's
Wow.
because that's what 3-year-olds do, right? They like all
Right.
shiny, sugary stuff. And so
Right.
each year, Tiffany, as I got older, I did things for myself, and then I had a big sweet 16 party on Facebook. When I turned 16,
Wow.
everybody celebrated with me. They sent messages, Tiffany. We had a hour-long party on Facebook when I turned
Amazing.
16. And then when I turned 18, I put it out. Everybody congratulated me, and I could not believe when I turned 18 some years ago, I I was like, I was like, oh my God, I was this. And I was like, oh my God, Lord, I never thought and believed, Tiffany, these bones would ever live. But here I
Wow.
was, an international speaker, a two-time book author, an
Yes.
influencer in my industry, an entrepreneur, or this. I had raised my children. They all grown. They went to college, Tiffany. They doing well. Da 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 da. Oldest
Yes.
went to
You
Morehouse.
did
Other
that.
Savannah State University. Other child went to the military. He went into the Navy. He just retired.
Won't he do it?
It was the therapy, my spirituality, my faith in God. The biggest thing my therapist said to me after I cussed him out when he said trust the process, but I cussed him out on that because like I ain't trusting no process. I ain't say it like that, Tiffany, but that's so I trusted the process. And somewhere, Tiffany, I began to believe that I deserved to be here. I began to believe that I had something to offer the world, right? I began to
Yeah.
believe the unlearned behaviors were okay to pull on healthy behaviors. And one of the last things I did, Tiffany, that could hopefully help someone, I surrounded myself and my children with positive people in
Yes.
positive places. I
That's
got them
right.
involved in the Boys and Girls Club, dance, sports, because I was a track athlete, right? And I was really good. So I
Yes.
used every outlet of opportunity that I saw as positive. I didn't care what ethnic groups was in there. My kids going. and,
Right.
and I care. Like, y'all got it. We need it. And I just kept and the biggest thing, this is just me. I stayed consistent. Even when I didn't believe
Yes.
it. Even when I didn't believe it, Tiffany, I just stayed consistent in my parenting. I stayed
Hmm.
consistent in how I did things. I stayed consistent and, believing in myself. And my
Yeah.
children benefited in the sense that I had lost all structure. So I stopped cooking. But, the state don't say I have to cook for you. It just says I have to feed you. So they benefited because we ate out almost every night. Especially seafood because I love seafood. Because I literally did not have the energy or the structure to prepare dinner. So it was like, oh, let's
Right.
go. Let's McDonald's, Burger King, Red Lobster, Olive Garden, some other big fancy restaurants later. And I took us on trips. We did a 7-day cruise. Now, I'm not saying everybody can
Oh,
do that, Tiffany. I'm just saying. Like we were all on the
Yeah.
cruise for 7 days, depressed, that's all get out. But we were on that cruise. And so I just tried to find all kind of positivity issues or events that would
Yeah.
fold into what I deemed as healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really the key to everything is surrounding yourself in positivity. That's really what I did in my weight loss journey.
Right.
Surrounding myself around people that I aspired to be like and people that were always happy because I was a little depressed coming out of, a crazy relationship and all that stuff, trying to find myself again because I wasn't myself. I was somebody else for someone else for a very long time. So that, oh my goodness, I just love it. I love just everything with just your whole journey. And I can't wait for our next because we actually went a little bit longer than what we normally do, y'all, but we're gonna give you some great information on how if you or anyone that you know out there is dealing with anything, dealing with maybe a crisis or dealing with domestic violence or anything, there is a national domestic violence hotline number that you or they can reach out to. It's 1-800-799-7233. That is a national number. And again, reach out to them if you are in a situation or if you know someone in a situation, or you can also call 988. 988 is the crisis line. It is particularly for people that are suicidal, having those suicidal thoughts, things like that. But if you are in crisis and you just need someone to talk to, you can also dial 988 for the crisis line. So, Yvonne, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to give our audience today before we close up? I am just so excited for our next time. We will be back on the 15th. So, y'all mark your calendars because we are digging in more with Lavon on Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So, Lavon, please take us away with any final thoughts.
So my final thoughts is first to say thank you all very much for joining in. Domestic violence is a really difficult topic.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of trigger points and it connects to a lot of other things that we'll talk about on the 15th. And the other thing is, as Tiffany shared, please use that number or share that number if you know someone or you yourself need some help and need to talk with someone. And the last thing, yes, I'm gonna do a plug for me. Uh, you can go to my website at www.lavonmorrisgrant to purchase my products. But I just have to show Tiffany, this is the new book that came out Friday, When Silence Screams,
Oh,
Maya's Mental Health Story. And you could go and purchase that book or any other books that's on the website and other products, or you could just send me a message if you need to contact me, and I can contact you. I'll get you in touch with whoever you need to get in touch with. So I just want to really thank you all for allowing this time. And remember, just because this is October and it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, domestic violence happens every day.
every
One in
day.
four
It
women are
does.
being abused every 60 seconds. Y'all hear that? Every 60 seconds. So
Mm.
don't just stop for October. This happens every day, and we can use your support. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And one more thing, y'all. She is also a contributing writer with Phoenix Fitness Fanatics. So definitely subscribe to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics so you can see her amazing content, articles, all that good stuff. And meet us next time on October 15th. It's going to be the same bat time, same bat channel, and we will be here to discuss more. So let me just go right here to the comments real quick
Yes.
before we close up. I don't want to miss anybody. Nore, yes, no, is Nore. Thank you, Vaughn, for saying your story. Thank you, Nore. Brittany, such big congratulations to you, Lavon. That's Brittany. Is it Eltridgeham at Eltringham? I'm sorry if I'm messing up names too much, but thank you so much, Brittany, for joining us today as well. So, everyone, we want to thank you so much for just tuning in. Thank you for your support. Subscribe to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics. You can go to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Mag 2021.com. You can get your subscription, $35 for lifetime. So definitely join us and we will see y'all next time. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day. Take care.